a giant among men. There are few players who've ever hit the college football scene with the sheer size, dominance, and spectacle that Terrance Cody did. Standing 6 feet 4 inches and weighing over 350 pounds at his peak, he was a mountain in pads. A nose tackle who single-handedly anchored Alabama's defensive front in the Nick Saban era. Nicknamed Mount Cody, he was feared, revered, and viewed as an NFL sure thing. But what happened? How does a player go from national championship hero to being completely out of the league just a few years later? Today we're taking a deep dive into the rise and fall of Terrance Cody, his early dominance, his unique athletic profile, and the controversy and underperformance that ultimately derailed his career. The legend of Mount Cody begins. Terrance Cody was born on June 28, 1988 in Fort Myers, Florida. Raised in a tough neighborhood, Cody was always known for his size, even from a young age. Football quickly became a natural outlet for his physical gifts, but academics were a challenge that almost derailed his athletic aspirations from the start. After high school, he was academically ineligible for a Division I scholarship, so he took the junior college route. At Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, MGCCC, Cody began to make a name for himself. In 2007, he helped lead MGCCC to a perfect 12-0 season and the NJCCA National Championship. His impact on the field was monumental. Even at nearly 400 pounds, Cody showed shocking quickness and footwork for his size. Coaches and scouts across the nation began to take notice, not just because of his frame, but because of his motor and raw athleticism. One opposing coach famously said, "You don't block Terrance Cody, you scheme around him." By the time he transferred to the University of Alabama in 2008, Cody was one of the most hyped JUCO transfers in the country. Nick Saban, already in the process of building a defensive dynasty, immediately inserted Cody into the starting lineup. His presence was transformative. In his first season at Alabama, Cody was credited with anchoring a defense that finished third nationally against the run, allowing just 73.6 rushing yards per game. Opposing teams routinely double-team Cody and sometimes even assigned 3 blockers just to contain him at the line of scrimmage. His play didn't always show up in the stat sheet, but his impact was undeniable. Linebackers behind him, like All-American Rolando McClain, were free to make plays without worrying about offensive linemen reaching the second level. Cody finished the 2008 season with 24 total tackles, including 4.5 tackles for loss, despite missing some time with a knee injury. That year, Alabama went 12-2 and played in the SEC championship, largely thanks to its dominant defense. Cody was named first-team All-SEC and became a household name in college football, but that was just the beginning. His legacy would grow even larger in his senior year, the block that shook college football. Terrance Cody's most legendary moment came in 2009 against Tennessee. With Alabama clinging to a 12-10 lead and the Vols lining up for a potential game-winning field goal, Cody broke through the line and blocked the 44-yard attempt. But it didn't stop there. After Tennessee recovered the ball and attempted a shorter 47-yard field goal moments later, Cody did it again. 2 blocked field goals in the same game by the same man. That single performance helped preserve Alabama's undefeated season and eventually led them to the BCS National Championship. The first block came with just over a minute remaining in the fourth quarter. Alabama's offense had stalled, and Tennessee drove down the field with poise. When kicker Daniel Lincoln lined up for the 44-yarder, Cody exploded through the middle and swatted it away. Tennessee miraculously got the ball back and had another shot with 4 seconds left. Once again, Cody burst through and delivered a game-saving second block. The stadium erupted. Fans stormed the field. The Birmingham News called it the block heard round the South. Cody's block was on the cover of Sports Illustrated the following week, and he instantly became a cult hero in Tuscaloosa. CBS Sports declared the performance one of the most clutch defensive efforts in SEC history. Alabama went on to win the 2009 BCS title, their first under Nick Saban, and Cody finished the year as a consensus All-American. He was also named a finalist for the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, given to the nation's top defensive player. That game against Tennessee sealed his place in Alabama football lore, and helped solidify the Crimson Tide's return to national dominance. Cody's larger-than-life play became a symbol of the program's grit and dominance. His jersey was sold in campus stores, and highlight reels of the block are still played at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That moment, more than any other, defined his college career, and arguably his legacy, draft hype, and NFL expectations. Heading into the 2010 NFL Draft, Cody was one of the most polarizing prospects. On one hand, he had proven himself as a dominant force in the middle of the field in college, anchoring one of the most feared defenses in recent memory. On the other hand, questions loomed about whether he could translate that dominance to the pro level. Concerns about his weight and conditioning were constant discussion points at the Combine and in pre-draft analysis. At the NFL Combine, Cody tipped the scales at 354 pounds. Though he was still mobile for his size, scouts were wary. ESPN's Mel Kiper Jr. noted, "You love the anchor ability, but does he have the gas tank to play 40 snaps in a game?" Despite the concerns, there was no denying his upside if used correctly in a 3-4 defense. The Baltimore Ravens saw the potential and selected Cody in the second round, 57th overall. The move was widely praised. He was seen as an ideal fit in Baltimore's defense, a run-stuffing monster to rotate with Haloti Ngata and shore up the middle alongside linebackers like Ray Lewis. The Baltimore Sun ran the headline, "Ravens draft a giant. Cody brings muscle to defensive front." NFL.com analysts projected Cody to become a top-tier nose tackle if he could maintain his conditioning. The Ravens even assigned him personal trainers and dietary coaches during the offseason to help reshape his body and increase his explosiveness. Baltimore fans were excited. With an already ferocious defense, Cody's arrival seemed to add one more puzzle piece to an elite unit poised for a deep playoff run. However, questions persisted. Some analysts warned that his lack of pass rushing skills and inability to shed double teams at the next level could limit his impact. Others cited inconsistent effort and concerns about his ability to adjust to the faster pace and complexity of NFL offenses. Despite these red flags, Cody entered the league with a high ceiling and sky-high expectations. The reality check conditioning and commitment issues. But problems emerged quickly. Cody struggled with weight management and conditioning throughout training camp. He had a hard time staying under 350 pounds, which affected his agility, stamina, and explosiveness. In his rookie season, 2010, he played sparingly, recording just 13 tackles. Though he showed promise in rotational roles, his conditioning often prevented him from making an impact over extended drives. By his second season, he earned a starting role and played all 16 games in 2011. Contributing to the Ravens' top 5 run defense. However, he never evolved beyond a space eater. He didn't generate sacks or quarterback pressures. Over 5 seasons, Cody recorded 0 sacks and just 87 total tackles. He lacked the pass rushing ability and mobility required in modern NFL schemes. Coaches questioned his work ethic, and team insiders noted he was often late to meetings and inconsistent in practice. In 2013, he lost his starting role entirely. Reports surfaced that Cody had issues staying motivated during the offseason, even with access to elite training staff. Teammates described him as quiet and reserved, rarely taking on a leadership role despite his size and potential. The final nail came when coaches began limiting his snaps in key situations. His performance plateaued, and by 2014, Cody was just another name on the roster, no longer the promising second-round pick with game-changing potential. Injuries, legal troubles, and the fall. By 2014, Cody was no longer seen as a dependable asset. He underwent hip surgery that offseason and was placed on the physically unable to perform PUP list, delaying his return to the field. When he finally came back late in the season, his performance was underwhelming. He was noticeably slower, and his snap counts dropped significantly. The explosive burst that once defined his college dominance had all but vanished. Then came the scandal that shattered any hope of a comeback. In early 2015, shortly after the Ravens announced they would not re-sign him, Cody was indicted on 15 counts related to animal cruelty. Reports from the Baltimore Sun and ESPN detailed the horrifying conditions in which his pet dog was found. Malnourished and neglected, the case gained national media attention. further tarnishing Cody's image. Although he was later cleared of the felony charges, he was convicted on several misdemeanors. Court documents and news reports outlined how Cody failed to provide adequate veterinary care, leading to the death of his dog. Public backlash was swift. Animal rights groups condemned him, and NFL franchises wanted no part in the controversy. He was officially released by the Ravens and remained unsigned by any NFL team afterward. This legal episode closed the final chapter of his NFL journey. Teams not only questioned his performance and conditioning, but now saw him as a public relations risk. No franchise was willing to extend a second chance. Terrance Cody never played another down in the NFL after the 2014 season. The man once hailed as the immovable object in Alabama's defense had vanished from the football world. What remained was a cautionary tale, a tragic reminder of how quickly promise can evaporate when discipline, health, and off-field judgment fail to align. Life after the NFL, a vanishing act. Following his final NFL snap in 2014 and the legal controversies that surfaced in 2015, Terrance Cody seemed to disappear from the public eye almost entirely. Unlike many former NFL players who transitioned into media, coaching, or entrepreneurial ventures, Cody took a different path, one defined more by absence than by reinvention. Reports indicate that after his release from the Ravens and subsequent misdemeanor convictions for animal cruelty, Cody retreated from the spotlight. According to a 2017 USA Today piece reviewing NFL draft busts, Cody was nowhere to be found in the football ecosystem, a rare feat for someone with his level of college fame. He did not join coaching staffs at any level, participate in NFL alumni events, or lend his name to charity or business endeavors. The once booming Mount Cody brand became eerily quiet. For a time, some Alabama fans speculated that Cody might return to Tuscaloosa in a support role under Nick Saban, perhaps as a graduate assistant or mentor to younger players, but no such reunion ever occurred. A few social media appearances in 2016 showed Cody spending time in his hometown of Fort Myers, Florida, but even those glimpses faded by the late 2010s. He rarely gives interviews, doesn't maintain a public social media presence, and has largely stayed disconnected from the NFL or college football communities. What's especially haunting about Cody's post-football life is the sheer silence. There's been no tell-all interview, no redemption story, no podcast or memoir. For a player once on the cover of Sports Illustrated and heralded as a national champion, his post-career fade feels as abrupt as it does tragic. This vanishing act has left fans and analysts to wonder what became of Terrance Cody, both the athlete and the man. Did the legal troubles push him away from football? Was the transition out of the league too jarring, too filled with disappointment? Or was it simply a personal decision to walk away from a world that once embraced him, then later rejected him? In a sport filled with comeback stories, Cody remains one of the rare cases where the curtain simply closed and never reopened. Legacy of unfulfilled potential. Terrance Cody's story is not one of a complete absence of success, but rather a haunting case of what could have been. In college, his impact was monumental. He helped redefine what a dominant nose tackle could look like in a Nick Saban-led defense, and his back-to-back blocked field goals against Tennessee are still played in highlight reels as one of the most dramatic moments in Alabama football history. For many Crimson Tide fans, Cody will always be remembered as a national champion, an All-American, and a foundational piece of a defensive renaissance. But in the broader world of football, Cody's legacy is dominated by a sense of unfulfilled promise. He was drafted into the perfect system, a defensive-minded franchise like the Baltimore Ravens, known for maximizing the potential of big physical linemen. He had mentors like Haloti Ngata and Ray Lewis. He had support systems, conditioning coaches, on an opportunity that many defensive linemen dream of. And yet, despite all that, Cody's NFL career was mediocre at best and disastrous at worst. In 5 seasons, Cody never registered a single sack. His role diminished with each passing year, and by the time injuries and off-field issues compounded, he was already an afterthought in league circles. He never became the immovable force that analysts had projected, and his lack of development as a 3-down player made him increasingly relevant in an evolving NFL landscape where mobility and versatility are king. From an analytical standpoint, Cody's career is often cited in draft retrospectives as a warning about overvaluing raw size over sustainable athleticism and discipline. As Pro Football Focus noted in a 2019 reevaluation of the 2010 draft class, Cody had the tools but not the trajectory. His body never became his asset. It remained his greatest liability. Cody's absence from football media and alumni engagement has only deepened the narrative of disappearance. There is no coaching tree extending from his career, no younger players publicly citing him as a mentor or inspiration. For many fans, especially those who only followed his NFL career, Cody's name evokes little more than a memory of unmet expectations. And yet, his college legacy remains a complicated kind of immortality. He'll always have that blocked kick against Tennessee. He'll always have the rings. But beyond Alabama, in the annals of NFL history, Terrance Cody stands as a sobering example of how talent without consistency, discipline, and adaptability rarely survives at the highest level. His story is not one of failure, but of the cost of potential left on the table. Terrance Cody's story is both awe-inspiring and tragic, a cautionary tale that still echoes in draft war rooms and coaching circles to this day. In college, he was a phenomenon, a once-in-a-generation nose tackle who commanded double and triple teams, changed game plans, and delivered game-saving heroics that etched his name in Crimson Tide folklore. At Alabama, he wasn't just a player, he was a legend, the literal and symbolic cornerstone of Nick Saban's first championship run. But as he transitioned into the NFL, something changed, or perhaps something failed to change. The fire that once burned so brightly flickered. The physical tools were there, but the discipline, the drive, the mental sharpness required to sustain success at the pro level, they never fully materialized. Cody entered the league with so much promise and fanfare that many assumed he'd be the next Haloti Ngata, Vince Wilfork, or Casey Hampton. Instead, his career arc flattened, weighed down by conditioning struggles, limited versatility, and a growing perception that he wasn't willing or able to evolve. By the time off-field issues began to surface, including his highly publicized animal cruelty case in 2015, Cody had already lost most of the benefit of the doubt. NFL teams saw not just a player in decline, but a public relations liability. The league moved on, swiftly, quietly, and without ceremony. And just like that, one of college football's most feared defenders became one of the NFL's forgotten names. Today, Cody is largely absent from the football world. He hasn't returned to coach, hasn't joined the media circuit, and hasn't offered public reflection on his fall from grace. His silence speaks volumes. It's as if he disappeared, leaving behind a trail of memories, headlines, and YouTube highlights frozen in time. So, what really happened to Terrance Cody? In truth, it was a perfect storm. Elite college talent met with real-world challenges, both internal and external, that he couldn't overcome. The NFL is ruthless. It doesn't wait for players to get it together. It demands accountability, adaptability, and effort beyond natural gifts. Cody had the physical dominance, but in the end, dominance alone wasn't enough. Terrance Cody's rise was meteoric and his fall abrupt and absolute. His story is a stark reminder that even the biggest, strongest, and most hyped athletes can fall short of greatness if the grind doesn't match the gifts. In the end, Terrance Cody is remembered in two worlds, immortalized in Alabama lore, but barely a footnote in NFL history. A giant who shook the college football world and then vanished into obscurity. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe for more football stories, and let us know in the comments, who should we cover next?